Few places on Earth are as beautiful or as dangerous as the sharp, rocky land of Brittany on the northwest coast of France. Here you can find the famous Carnac stones. They are a group of more than 3,000 huge rocks placed in rows and other shapes, stretching across more than 2 miles of the French countryside. We are talking about thousands of stones lined up in straight rows, set in circles, arranged in squares and rectangles. Why did people do this? Why did they spend so much time and energy on it? And the short answer, I believe, is that we truly do not know. Local legend says the giant stones were once invading Roman soldiers who were turned to stone by Merlin, the magician. But if magic did not create this forest of stones, then who or what did? Modern archaeologists say that people who were only slightly more advanced than cavemen cut these giant stones. Some of them weighed 100, 200, even up to 350 tons. And they somehow moved them into place. When you first look at the stones here at Carnac, they seem to be placed in random shapes. But when you look closer, you can see that most of the stones have been cut on one side or another. In fact, these granite megaliths are magnetized too. The Earth and almost all of them come to a point. Stone magnets. Is it possible that these stones were cut and placed in a special way to create some kind of geomagnetic field? But why? Carnac as a place feels full of energy. As you walk down these stone pathways, you can feel this energy. Many tourists who visit also like to touch the stones and feel the energy coming from them. The people who built Carnac must have understood the Earth's energy fields very well. According to an idea called the world grid theory, certain places on our planet have stronger magnetic forces than others. It is interesting that many megalithic structures around the world are placed at specific points that may connect to an ancient world energy grid. There are certain places around the world that have long been considered sacred, special vortexes where the energy feels different. The ancient stone monuments were built to capture that force and power, creating a funnel-like vortex. When we look at places like the Giza pyramids, Machu Picchu, or Baalbek in Lebanon, all of them are located at specific geographic points that may connect to this world energy grid. Could Carnac be one of these places? And could the mix of geomagnetic properties and the special shapes of the stones have allowed ancient builders to actually control gravity? If so, where did this knowledge come from? And what final purpose did it serve? It was not until we saw these stones from above in a helicopter that we realized Carnac may have been meant to be seen from the sky. It is said to be one of only 3 things you can see from outer space: Nazca Lines, the Great Wall of China, and Carnac. Were they meant to be seen by people in the sky? And who could have been flying at that time besides extraterrestrials? Ancient astronaut theorists Giorgio Atokalos and David Childress are in the remote Marquesas Islands. They are searching for clues that may help solve mysteries about an island about 2,000 miles to their east. Easter Island. I think it is very interesting that of all the standing heads on Easter Island, 7 of them point toward the Marquesas. So now the question is why? I think it is very possible that the Marquesas and Easter Island are connected. But just as interesting and maybe a little frightening are the many carvings found across the islands that show strange big-eyed gods called tikis. Right now we are at the Tuwu of Hikokua. The tiki placed at a site like this, a very sacred place, were made to scare people away. They were saying this is a very sacred site, so be careful. If you step in the wrong place or do something wrong, then something bad will happen to you. So I think if we are talking about extraterrestrials visiting in ancient times and you follow the old stories that say they came down with fire, smoke, and noise, that could be why people were afraid. There are many other versions of the same type of image around the world, showing people with long skulls and huge goggle-like eyes. For example, in Peru, yes, Tiwanaku and Puma Punku have these same goggle-eyed figures. You also see that in Mexico, with statues. Yes, these could be images of real extraterrestrials who visited Earth thousands of years ago, very similar to the tiki of the Marquesas. Figures with large skulls and huge eyes have been found at archaeological sites all over the world. These include the Dogu figures of Japan, the Aboriginal Wandjina rock art of Australia, terracotta figurines recently found in northern Ghana, the trickster god Eshu of the Yoruba people of Nigeria, and the amazing petroglyphs of Karahanj, also known as Armenia's Stonehenge. So it seems that Tiki is walking, living, and breathing. Is not just a spirit, is he? No, he is not a spirit. They say that Tiki is not really a god, but he is not really a man either. Hi, Etta. Thank you so much for showing us everything here. It is truly amazing. You are welcome. Thank you so much. Have a nice trip. Thank you. September 2019. Here we are on the edge of Temwan Island. Amazing. After arriving on Pohnpei's Temwan Island, ancient astronaut theorists Giorgio Tsoukalos and David Childress are now walking toward the ancient ruins of Nan Madol by land. With them is Micronesia's National Historic Preservation Officer Gus Kolar. Okay, we are going to turn left up there, a left up here. Okay, this is it. Okay, this is it. To get an expert opinion on how this incredible megalithic complex was built, let's do it. Follow me. They have also invited UCLA structural engineering professor Dr. Henry Burton. I am a structural engineer. I think about how to design things so they move through structures in a way that keeps them stable. Okay, back there. My role is to bring a modern point of view to the structures we see here in Micronesia. Wow, look at this. Amazing. That is amazing. I mean, look at some of those. I know, but look at that one. Here is this huge wall made of prismatic basalt. How would you build that today? You would definitely need cranes. I can tell you that. Hey, even some of these smaller blocks weigh tens of tons. So how would you build this without cranes? Well, I cannot think of any way to build this. Some people might say it was built using scaffolding, but you would need very strong trees for that, and they do not really have strong trees here for that kind of scaffolding. Yes, it is a mystery to me. I cannot imagine building this without cranes. So Gus, what does your tradition say about how these walls were built? According to our oral history, these rocks came from the north. We are in the Sakas area, and studies show that 40% of these rocks came from the north. And how far is that? Up to 20 miles. Just imagine moving that boulder over there. How many people would it take? What kind of boat could carry that boulder? You would need a barge. There are barges today that can hold hundreds of tons. That is what we are talking about, like giant shipping barges, like the ones we have today. Yes, the idea that people dragged these stones across rough land or floated them on rafts seems impossible to me. The simple truth is that it would be impossible to move 250 million tons of basalt across the island without modern machines and technology. Suddenly, heavy rain begins to fall as the team walks through the ancient site toward a special feature. In one of the basalt walls, the weather here changes every 30 seconds. Welcome to Pohnpei. For Henry Burton, just as amazing as the size of the stones at Nan Madol is the engineering knowledge the builders must have had. If you look at a doorway in a modern building and open the wall, you will find a beam above the door. This beam supports all the weight above it. It is called a lintel. That is an important structural design element. This is interesting because this stone is bending slightly under weight. It is subtle, but you can see the bending action here. It becomes even more interesting when you think about the design. What kind of math or physics would you need? You would first need to calculate the weight placed on it. Then you would need to understand structural mechanics. You would need to study the cross-section and material properties to understand the bending shape. You would even need calculus. Dr. Burton said that to calculate these stress levels, you would need advanced math like calculus. But archaeologists agree that calculus did not exist in the 1100s AD, outside the ruins of Sacsayhuaman, about a mile and a half from the Coricancha Temple in Cusco. There are little-known entrances to underground tunnels from Inca times. Many openings have been sealed for safety, but a few are still open. In 2017, David Childress visited one of the open tunnels. There is a maze of tunnels under Cusco that stretch for hundreds of miles in every direction. Some tunnels even connect. Over time, many have been sealed, but parts are still accessible, like this tunnel cut through solid rock. Local legend says the sun disk was taken out of the city through these tunnels. People have wondered for centuries where the sun disk was taken. Some say it was taken through a tunnel system to Petiti, a lost Inca village on a mountain the Spanish never found. Some say it was taken to Sacsayhuaman. Others say it was returned to Lake Titicaca, where it originally came from. Located more than 200 miles southeast of Cusco and over 12,500 feet above sea level. Lake Titicaca is the highest navigable lake in the world and sacred to the local Andean people. In Inca myth, their god Viracocha came from Lake Titicaca. This connects to legends that say there is a hidden city under Lake Titicaca. Because of this, it makes sense that the Incas may have returned their golden disk to the lake.